the Got Her Back podcast.
Hey, girls.
Hello.
Haven't seen y'all in quite a while.
I know, right?
I love it. Wait, you need to come join us on Fun
I
Sunday.
know.
Sunday Fun Day.
Y'all, I just need my house to sell.
Listen, we've been having fun on Sundays, haven't
Yes,
we, Megan?
we sure have.
We've been cooking,
Baby
swimming.
girls jumping off the cliff, flipping off the cliff.
Did you
going
see
down the
Spencer with that
slide.
front flip off the
I told her
rock?
she needs to get her in tumbling.
She has to.
Y'all, she did that yesterday at our pool, and there's no, like, something to jump off of. I'm like, no, ma'am. You almost hit your head on the side. No, ma'am. We're not doing that again.
I mean, that's the only reason why we don't trust our kids to swim when we're not there, because
Yeah.
they're daredevils.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if y'all are just going to swim, you're great swimmers. But if not, no. They're too cray-cray.
So they're daredevils like you?
Yes, they're daredevils like me. And my nieces are too. Like, all of them are daredevils. Like, I wish, like, none of them are like scaredy cat.
Were you a daredevil when you went
Girl,
back to
yes.
the... No, wait. You didn't answer my question. You didn't let me. Were you a daredevil when you got back into the dating scene or no?
I mean, I shot my shot. Is that a daredevil or not? I just say shoot your shot. I did the hi, hello. That was my shot. That was like my
No, I
feelers.
mean-
and y'all, like, I waited like 5 minutes and he didn't text me back, so I went to Facebook. No, I was on Facebook Messenger first, and I was like, hey, and I waited like 5 minutes and he didn't say anything, so then I texted him, hey. Is this thing on?
I wouldn't say that's a daredevil. Like, daredevil is like what we talked about, like dating.
Oh, no.
Tinder.
I mean, I know it's the way to go. I have many clients that have great success stories on dating apps. It's just, I've heard so many crazy stories too. And then y'all know I'm paranoid. So I did statistics online and started reading crazy stuff. And I was like, okay, let me shoot my shot over here. And I shot my shot.
Well,
it worked.
You posted about it, shooting your shot, and how the last, 8-9 months have went. Let me read it for you.
I finally posted, I hard launched my guy.
Yep, here we go. From Carrie Smith. Sappy post warning. What a difference a year can make. This time last summer, I mentally prepared to finally end an 18-year relationship and 12-year marriage. I will admit I contemplated for years and even filed in 2019 and separated again in 2020. The back and forth felt like whiplash, and my confidence was seriously at an all-time low. The thought of turning my kids' world upside down kept me pushing through for years, but ultimately I had to finally choose myself. With that, I found strength, confidence, and love. Like easy love. Love that slowly helps you find your way back home. Love that slowly, day by day, you find yourself again. Honestly, I found Carrie again. Through divorce, you have two choices. You can choose to live in the past and feel sorry for yourself, or you can find ways to feel grateful and recreate a life that you have always dreamt about. I like to think of it as a second chance. Never settle and prioritize everything that is most important in my life. I'm posting this all of this not because my life is perfect, because it isn't. I'm posting this to speak to the girl that has completely lost herself trying to make everyone else happy. To the girl that is scared and sad and doesn't want to let her children down. I promise you, your children want and need you to be in a healthy relationship. They need to see you loved and happy. My kids gave me so much grace and have told me periodically that they love seeing me happy now. You see, they knew all along, and I thought I was fooling them, but in the end, I was fooling no one. Was it hard? Hell yes. Oh, that's a 1. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Cheers to living our best life, and to this guy for loving me back.
That was so...
It makes me want to cry right
Did
now.
you? I was crying for you.
Did I write all that?
You did.
You posted it twice.
I woke up feeling. Up feeling very. I don't know. Have you ever like woke up and you're like just sitting there and you're feeling like
Yes.
super grateful and like in the moment and all the feels.
Yeah.
There's a word for it, but I can't think of it.
Nostalgic. I don't know. I was just feeling some type of way, I guess, whenever I woke up that morning.
Was it after
And
coffee?
I was drinking
No,
like morning coffee.
Morning coffee.
It actually was. It actually was, but I don't know. I think I was just like taking it all in because everything happened. Like I know a year almost, but a lot happened. So it's like taking all that in and being like, whoa, like we're on the other side, and just so grateful for it. And I was also just feeling like, I was thinking back about all those times, right? Like, that's a long process. If I filed in 2019 is when I filed originally, or when, that's a long freaking time to be unhappy. And it had been happening before then. So I'm very stubborn and I'm very loyal and resilient and all those things. But to hold on that long, it's like, and it was for the kids, right? And it was also because I never wanted to be married. Like, it was never I've said this before, but because of the marriages I've seen before, I never wanted to be married. But when I did make the decision to get married, like, I made a vow, like, to myself, like, if I'm going to get married, I don't want to be divorced, and I really took it to heart. Like, I truly, I feel like I took it to heart. And I really gave it, like, the best that I could. But every time it came down to it, and I know this, I know it has to be. It can't just be me. When it came down to it, I really thought I was going to mess up my kids. And so I just kept fighting through that. And I kept being talked into, another chance, or it was going to be different, or, something like that. So I was just feeling some type of way and just speaking. I don't know, I feel like mostly my social media is mostly women. So I feel like when I feel led to post something like that, it's not very often, but when I do and I do that, I get a lot of emails back just saying they needed to hear that today. They were going through the same situation, which is exactly what happened. I started getting flooded with all kinds of messages saying, I needed to hear that. That's exactly what I'm going through. I needed this exactly right now at this minute. I needed this today. And so I think that God does use those moments where you're like, when you feel that way, like, I know that you do this very well and you're very good with content, but I think that if it is something that can help somebody, just like what we said with this podcast, if it can help somebody, then that's important to us. And so that's just how I felt that morning. So I was feeling all emotional.
But like what you said, it's a year, right? A year ago, we came over your house for Memorial Day. Mm-hmm. And 4th of July is coming. We came to your house again for, 4th of July. And just,
it was not good.
I thought it was fine, but that was just me being like looking in,
right? When you're living it day to day to day. And I think those are the sad moments that nobody talks about, is when we would come here and we'd have fun with, my girlfriends, and the kids are all playing and you're having a good moment. But for me, when we would get back in the car or get home behind closed doors and you go separate ways and it's somber and quiet and you're lonely and you don't, it was all fake and it was perspective and it was a facade, that's when you're like at your lowest, I think. Or that's when I was at my lowest. So, and I know that, now I know, like, I thought that my kids didn't understand, but me and my kids have very adult conversations, and they knew, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't bat an eye when I got a divorce. Like, Kason cried for a second and said that, he missed his dad. And I just had to tell him, well, yeah, that's okay to miss your dad, but that really didn't have anything to do with me. That was him not being present. You know what I mean? That's what I was trying to tell Kason. That's different. You know what I mean? I'm sure y'all both miss him. You know what I mean? But that didn't have any, I didn't need to be married for him to be more intentional with his time with them. And then I did think, like, maybe if I actually was strong enough and pulled the trigger, then maybe they would have more intentional time, because it would have to be more intentional, because it's not as, it's not all day, every day that you get your kids. I think that we value our kids a lot more on the time that we have them, and I hope that it's, felt the same way on the other end. I pray that they're getting, great quality time on the other end. So I think there are pluses to it. Now that I'm on the other side of it, like, it feels like the worst thing in the world, but when you get on the other side of it, you can have those, like, mushy moments where you're like,
And like you said, you are better. You guys are better apart than you guys were
Oh
together.
my gosh,
you
we are
know?
not good together. We are not good together. You know, we were two people that met very young, and we had children, and we, you know, tried to make it work the best that we can. But in the end, like we weren't a good match. You know what I mean? So I'm glad. I feel so bad for people that spend their whole life that way because they don't want to get a divorce. You know what I mean? And for me, I had internal struggles because of my faith, because of my relationship with God. Like I would always go back to like, you know, if I did confide in someone with it in the church or, you know, something like that, it was like, well, you know, God doesn't want that and he doesn't want that, and, you know, but if you go and you do your own research and you read the Bible yourself, I like to come to my own conclusions about things. So I read it in depth, you know, exactly what I wanted. And I talked to people that had similar values as me. At the end of the day, God doesn't want you to be abused.
Unhappy.
He doesn't want you to be, he doesn't stand for infidelity. There are many things that it says in there that he does not want for you. And he wants, like, for me, God is about love. So he wants me to feel loved and happy. He wouldn't want that for me because I'm his daughter, right? I don't want that for my daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's kind of the way that I started looking at it. And I mean, my mom told me, like, forever, once, you know, you will flip one day. And y'all had to listen to me like a broken record.
Okay, you listen to me too.
For many years, and my mom had to too, and my mom just ate it, you know. And I know there was many things that she wanted to say, but she would always say, one day you will leave and you will never go back. And I remember when it happened to my mom, you know. I remember all those times she wanted to leave and, you know, all these things that had happened to her. But when she did it, like, there was literally nothing that man could say or do. It's like a switch. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
The ick switch. Because it's like it comes on and then it never goes away again. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's where I was feeling. I was like thinking about all the progress that I made, all the fears that I had leading up to that, my kids, moving, would I find somebody? I'm in my 40s, I'm older, you know, things like that I think that women naturally think. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm all on the other side of all these things. And then I was feeling like, you know.
How was it for you? Because I've seen people struggle when they don't have their kids for the first time. You know,
It's
how was it for
heart-wrenching.
y'all?
It's heart-wrenching. It's hard. Like, for me, I had to go 50-50. It was different. Carrie just does, like, he gets them, like, maybe every other weekend. And mine was 50-50 schedule.
And she's so little.
And she's 3. At the time, she was 3. And so I just was like, you know, how is she going to transition? Because Taryn doesn't go sleep at his dad's. He just sees him, you know, for lunch and stuff like that. But so he's pretty much with me full time. But for the little one, it's like losing your baby. You know, it was really hard for me. And then Dill, like, you know.
I think, too, mine are older. So we get to have great conversations. They can vocalize. They can communicate to me, like, you know, better, I guess. Yeah. So that makes me feel, they have a phone. They have this. They have all these ways that we can still FaceTime anytime that I want. Megan isn't as lucky as I am. So she can still get in touch with her sometimes if he decides, you know, that they have time or something. But it is more in his control where I pay for my kids' phones so I can. And I remember doing this with Brylan whenever he was younger because cell phones weren't very popular and they were really expensive. But I bought him, he had a phone at age 6 because it was important for me to be able to communicate with him. I worried about him. I wanted to be able to touch base with him every single day. So I think that's a little bit different. So I was lucky that my kids FaceTime me and, you know, send me little pictures here and there. We have Life 360. So I get to see, like, if I feel like, wow, they're not answering or whatever, at least I can check on them and be like, okay, well, they're, you know, with their grandma or they're doing this right now or whatever. So that's kind of cool to be able to do those type of things. So for me now, it was really hard in the beginning to not, you know, spend certain holidays. Those are like the hardest things. But now I take it as, I mean, I've been a mom for 24 years. That's a long time. So now it's like, oh my gosh,
You have
like 3
time.
days to not be a mom. That's not what I mean. But
I get what you mean. Like
to not
to
like
do things
answer to anybody else, and I get to actually see like what my post says, like who Carrie is and what Carrie wants and things like that. There was lots of like journaling and reflecting on like what do I want or what do I want to do today. And there's some days that are like that me and G are like, hey, do you want to go on a motorcycle ride and go sit at a coffee shop and then go have a margarita and then go have some tacos? And we just, it's like you're teenagers again.
yeah.
And, I was a teen mom, so I didn't really get that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool when we do have those times. We still hear from them all the time. The adult kids still come over. But, being a parent of adult kids, it's really, really cool, too. So
How was, like, holidays?
it's terrible. It's weird. It doesn't feel like a holiday.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's the only way you can describe it. It just feels like a normal day. That
It's not the same without your kids.
definitely not the same.
What holidays did you not
This
have
year,
your
I
kids?
didn't have for Thanksgiving, so it was
Oh,
a little
okay.
easier. So I got Christmas, but I negotiated that I will get Christmas this year, so
Yeah.
I'll get there.
And I
But
like the way that y'all negotiated
Yeah,
it this
because
year,
it's-
which is really
Do you guys
interesting.
flip flop every other year?
it was supposed to be like one would get Christmas Eve and Christmas, and that's how it was this year. And it was so combative. Like I just
that would
took
be
the whole
hard.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So like I knew that my like not having Christmas was coming up. So we went for years. Like I co-parented for 20 years, amazing with Sheris for DJ, the oldest. And we didn't fight about it. We always just talked through like she would take Christmas Eve because her family did every year because and he would come do Christmas with us or come a few days after Christmas. We just always made it work, and we were able to talk through that stuff.
What was what was important for them.
Right. What was good and what was good for the kids. Like, unfortunately, I was in a situation where I had to block, my ex from my cell phone, and I'm using a parenting app, and I'm still having to use a parenting app.
Explain to us what a parenting app for people that don't know.
Yeah, OSW. So it's like a parenting app where you text and can call in there, and you have to send, like updates or whatever, but it's all monitored, and it can be monitored by your lawyers or monitored by the courts. And so I was in a high contentious divorce, and, I went through periods where he would withhold my little one, and he would make me chase to even talk to her, and he would tell me his days were his days, and I could talk to her on my days, which, she was 3. I want to talk to my kids every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Still talk to my 23-year-old
I talk-
multiple times a day.
Yeah.
He's already called me 3 times today.
I am 37. I talk to my mom every day.
I do
So,
too.
I talk to my dad every day.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
just, you're dealing with like an unreasonable person, right? Like he lives in his own world. And so it's just, he thinks whatever goes. It's just a form of control.
Yeah.
It was a way to try to hurt me through my kids, And so I just had to realize what I was dealing with. And so I just made sure that when it was time to negotiate for the divorce, that now I have a call from my time windows from 7 to 7:15.
Yeah.
And if he's not available, he has to make sure she calls me back before bed. Period. So now I don't have to like.
That's great, though.
Yeah. So now I don't have to text and be like, Spencer, FaceTime. Like,
But ask me this same question again next time we record, because we swap in the summers to 1 week on and 1 week off. I've never not been around my kids for a full week. So
I would just go on vacation every other week.
yeah,
Just-
if I could, I would. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's going to be, but I was laying out the whole schedule this week and looking at it, and I'm like, okay, that's actually a camp week for them. And then,
What you said next summer, or like
no, like in
right
next
now?
week it starts. So
Oh.
they'll be, actually we're in our first week right now. So
Yeah.
the first week is the mom's week when school's out, set Sunday to Sunday. And then it'll flip flop like Sunday to Sunday. So that's going to be, I don't know, to be continued. Like, hopefully it'll be just fine. And as long as I can FaceTime with them, and they know, and I'm going to let him know, anytime they need to come home or want to come home, like,
they can come.
they're more than welcome to come home. You know what I mean? Like, one of us is always there, typically. So I just hope that we can communicate, I don't say easy, but, enough to know that if they need something, or if his schedule is wonky or mine is, then it can go back and forth.
I would just tell you to tell your kids, because your kids are old enough that you tell them, hey, if you want to come home, you call me. Because then they can, you know what I mean? Don't rely on him, because you may not ever hear, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's don't rely on that situation.
So I think that's why it's important for me to just FaceTime them every day, just because you can see like
What's
you know,
going on.
what's going on, how they're feeling, is everything. But normally they're great and they're having a good time and they don't have much time, you know, for me, and they're doing their own thing. And that's hurts your feelings as a mom, but also you have to think of it like, I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they're getting that time. That's just as important. So you just have to like really be intentional in your mindset and not get your feelings hurt.
She's way better than me.
I can't wait. I cannot.
No, I'm just kidding.
Y'all, no, for real. I cannot.
true.
I cannot wait until Megan writes a post just like yours.
It'll come in time. I need
I mean, I know it's not happening. You know, like
I'm like with Carrie. Like, you guys know I blog or whatever, and it's you just wake
It
up.
will come. Hers will come when she's
just,
feeling
like,
it.
You just have to feel it. You know, like you just have to. Like yesterday, I woke up and I sent Darian a long text because I had been kind of quiet, you know, trying to go through a divorce towards the end, and I just, for me, whenever I feel led to, like, even if there's like, you know, even if it doesn't get the response that maybe, you know, I was hoping, like, maybe he's going to say he's freaking sorry. You know what I mean? Like, even if it doesn't garner that response that I was looking for, and I knew in my head it probably wouldn't, but you just think, like, you just hold on to that hope. Like, and sometimes you just got to learn to let that hope die. And so that's what it was.
Let the
for
dream
me.
die.
You know what I mean? Like, it just, when someone keeps showing you who they are, you've got to believe them.
Yeah.
And I should have believed them the first time, but.
I believe them. She usually don't for a while.
No, I don't. Like, for a good while.
But two things in the post, well, I mean, about my kids. Like, I really thought it was going to be so hard on my kids. Like, I don't want to, like, F up my kids. Like, none of us do, right? We talk about this all the time. We don't want our kids to be
we don't want our
doing
kids
counseling
to,
one day. And so that's, like,
healing
my
from their
brain
trauma.
because I'm like, wow, I've spent, you know, all these years trying to make sure my kids are, you know, shielded and all this stuff, and I could potentially just blow it all up right now by making this decision. But I guess just having the strength to do it and know that you'll be a good enough, you know, person for them. But my kids were so easy. Like, they had so much grace. And again, they knew like,
what was going on.
They've said some crazy things to me. Like, they're savage. They know, like, they knew everything I didn't think they knew. They knew. So I
You
would
weren't
say when
fooling
you're
them,
going
yeah.
through a bad relationship like that, you don't want to dump it all on your kids, honestly, because your kids know. And in the end, my counselor told me the kids always know who the right one and who the wrong one is. You don't have to tell them. When they get old enough, they'll tell you, but they always know which one. Now, you also have to remember that when the kids go over there, they have to play a part. And they have to get in line and, you know, to be okay over there. So we can't think that they're dumb or anything like that. They just learn to play two different roles, and we have to be okay with that. We don't need to voice it or whatever because they'll know, is what my counselor says. Like, the kids always know who was in the right and who was in the wrong. They're very smart. But something else that was really important was that, you know, we don't talk about the other guy that much. So just to acknowledge G and you know, the way that he had made me feel, because I had a terrible relationship for 18 years. So when you do have confidence that low, I'm going to cry, but when you have somebody treat you like that for so long, and then you have somebody like him, you have to tell him, right?
Yeah.
You have to, it's not easy for me to show my feelings, but I can write, you know? Yeah. So that's important for me. So just that he was there for me, and he always gave me great advice, whether that was legal advice or just listening to me or just telling me that I'm beautiful or making me believe in men again, because I didn't grow up in a great, like,
household.
Seeing that. And then to sit there and repeat that for 18 years and, you know, going through all that and then just finally experiencing what I have experienced, which is a total opposite of what I've endured.
360-degree shift.
you can't help but to feel like that.
Yeah.
So
Give her a hug.
it's just,
I want
you know what I mean?
her a hug.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hug her.
I don't know how to voice things, but sometimes I can write them.
You write eloquently. Like, I
So-
think you just are too hard on yourself. You
Yeah.
need to stop that.
And I know that he needs validation too, and I'm not that great at it because I'm not good with like emotions. Probably because of
Your past.
yeah, I'm just not good. I'm good with being great and happy and smiling and all that, and sometimes I don't know how to voice to him how much I appreciate everything that he does. You know, he took my children in, and he's amazing to my children, and he's a great provider, and he loves me every day, and we have fun, and we laugh our ass off every single night. And, you know, it's funny because that same morning I was sitting there having coffee, praying, and just thinking, there was so many times that I wrote down, like, I just want somebody to sit and have coffee with me in the morning. I want somebody to sit outside with me. And it's like when I'm doing those things, like he sits outside more than I do. You know what I mean? I'm like actually living in prayers from 15, 10, 5 years ago. All these things that I kept voicing that I wanted, I feel like those are little asks. Can you sit outside with me? And I would get a no. Well, now I get to like sit outside with someone every single night and hang out and have great conversations. You know what I mean? Without having to sit and watch, you know, feeling ignored or sitting by myself. You know, there was so many nights that I sat alone and I was by myself all the time. So I don't know, I'm just like trying to remember like the little things that we pray for and then like how much God like always like comes full circle.
I just loved in your posts, like how you talked about how you can like sit like in your past and be miserable, or you can like start looking towards the future and live in the moment and the present and be happy. And like, I'm just like, I love that line in your post. Like it just, because it's a good reminder for me. Like there were things that I had worse, but in that aspect you had worse because I knew it. Like you were at home alone a lot. He was never home. Like mine was here, but it was like being in the same room, but at least they were here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So for me, it's just like, yeah,
like it was such a struggle for you.
I feel like I had little asks, and I feel like you do start feeling like you're crazy. Like, I mean, I spent like $15,000 to extend my patio and, you know, all this stuff because I was like, that was important to me. I want to sit outside. I like being outside. I like hanging out. I want to like spend quality time. And when you just sit there by yourself, it's not the same. Or if you ask, I remember even settling and being like, can you just have dinner with me one time a week?
Yeah.
And it was a no. And it was a blatant like, no, I mean, I have to, and it was just always those little no's that make you like, you don't want to ask anymore because it's rejection. It's not the same as yours, but it's different. Like you're still feeling rejected. Right. So I think it really like takes a toll on you. And it takes a long time to feel like yourself again. Right. You know what I mean? Or to know like what you even yourself. So I think that through the whole thing, just learning yourself, like I see people every single day and they're like, you're different. What's, and I'm like, it's just him, right. That's like the thing.
This is why I'm not worried about you. Like, I know you're going to be sad. And because it was sad for me because I was, my boyfriend works a lot. And so like, I don't see him as much, but you're with G all the time. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I know because he takes such great care of you. So like if you are having a struggling on a day where you're missing your kids and on the 1 week on, 1 week off, I know you're going to be okay because you got G, you know what I mean? Like for me, I sat over here and like had to go through like the quiet, right. But what I did learn to do was like, find things to do for Megan. People kept just saying, work on Megan. And I did. So like you got
really
me reading
did.
Books. You know what I mean? Like I focused on the co-parenting class.
And you would go have these fun like lunch and dinner dates with all these friends that, that you get to reconnect and stuff with. So I think it's just important to find yourself again.
Right.
I think there's things that I thought were important that aren't important anymore, but it's really just the little things, all the things that I kept writing down that were important, which sounds really stupid. And I would get like, hey, because I love coffee. Have coffee. I don't drink coffee, or I don't like that, or okay, well, something, or just sit with me, or something.
I always wonder when we were in Bali, you were always outside
By myself.
early in the morning
Because that's how
drinking
she was
coffee.
raised. She was raised in the country. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So
but
she's
so
I
true.
would just sit right next to you because I love drinking coffee.
For the most part, like,
I mean, it was
he wakes up before I do.
Yeah.
I'll make coffee or he'll make coffee. We'll either sit in the bed or we'll sit outside and we'll drink coffee. It's great. We're still getting to be together. Or if he's sleeping really well, like, and I can tell, I'll go, sit outside like I did in Bali. But that's just who I am. I like to watch sunrises and drink coffee and read.
She did that in Turks and Caicos, like at her 40th. Like even though we were there for her 40th, you'd catch her outside every day reading her Bible or doing a Bible study, and drinking her coffee. And I'd be like, I love you, boo, but I'm not a morning person, so I'll catch you at 10.
That's why we say, how are we friends?
I know
Sometimes out there praying for us.
sometimes I forget she's not a morning person. I'm calling her at 8 o'clock in the morning.
No,
She's actually turning into one
I
lately.
know, but I do want to kick y'all's asses on our group text. Y'all start texting at 6:30 in the morning, and I look at it and thinking it's an emergency. I'm like, bitch.
Well, wait till
turn my ringer
Spencer's.
off.
Wait
I
till
turn
Spencer's
off.
in kindergarten.
No.
She's gonna be right there. Oh,
I
never
love
mind.
it.
We'll be texting Judith.
Yeah.
Judith, can you?
Yeah, no, I will not. Get the butt on that bus out there. No, ma'am.
That's just who I am.
I
And
love
those are
waking up
things
in
that I learned, like coping with PTSD and trauma and things like that from my early childhood, all these things that we talk about all the time. Reading, I have like hundreds of self-help books. I had to I had to teach myself like unlearn things and learn things and all that stuff. So it just like turned into something that now I'm having trouble seeing my books in my 40s. So I'm going to have to switch to Kindle or something where I can actually not flip.
Oh, seeing. I thought you just don't have
Seeing. No,
time. You mean
Seeing
seeing?
it. I'm like, why?
Hey, you need to go in there and I got a whole bunch of reader glasses. Give you some. Remind me, I'll give them to you.
God, something.
Really.
Y'all, it's like
I'm about
so
to gift you some
hard.
reading glasses.
Girl, I have them, but it's just it's lighting. It's lighting for
Yeah.
me. So if it's like 6 o'clock in the morning and the sun is I'm struggling. Or if I wanted to read late at night, it's too hard. So a girl that I work with, she's like, oh, you need to get a Kindle because it has that light and everything, and you can like decide how big or small or what. I'm like, okay, I guess
That's
I'm gonna have to go
perfect.
to a Kindle. Damn.
No wonder your phone is like bolded and big.
Girl, I'm
So
like,
mine.
yeah, like I'm.
I'm like,
I'm older than both of y'all. Hush. The only reason why I'm good is because I got bifocal contacts in.
I have
Girl,
bad vision, so I can't
went
talk.
to
but-
the eye doctor and was like, what is happening? Is it because I stare at this little needle all day long? But at work, I don't struggle. That's the weird thing. But I have that bright light.
Yeah.
But he was like, wait, how old are you? And so I tell him, and he goes, oh, no, it's after you turn 40. It's everybody. And I'm like, oh. He's
Okay.
like, that's what it is. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll accept it. He said, how do you feel about bifocals? I'm like, I don't give a
Can you
shit
get
what
bifocal
you give
contacts?
me. I just, yeah, you can.
Okay.
She has them.
Yeah, I'm low maintenance. Like I can't do, like the thought, like people kept buying me readers, like my girls at work or whatever, because I'd be in there like looking at my screens, and I have like 4 screens,
So
and I'm like
that's
so close.
him like making fun of me
Yeah.
every day. 'Cause he's like, oh
And
my
I can't like, but I'm just like the thought of having to like carry around a pair of glasses. I'm like, I do good to keep up my cell phone, my credit card. Like, no, I'm not carrying around another.
Can you
pair
just
of
do
glasses.
LASIK?
I'm not a candidate.
I'm
Me
too
neither.
scared.
I tried.
Yeah.
Well,
Mine
I
is
don't know.
different. Mine isn't my lens.
I don't have very good.
I just have bad vision.
I have
period.
bad luck or good luck, so I probably have bad luck in my eyes and go blind. You know what I mean? Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
I have a client that
I'm
something
scared.
bad happened to.
Yeah,
so.
no. I'm like, I'm out on that.
Anyways.
I'm so glad we talked about your pet.
Yeah.
Why y'all make me cry?
we
Just
love
when I don't think I,
I
went
mean, you
back
just
and reread
love
it, so it's just
you.
interesting.
You
like,
just
hearing,
don't know. I mean, I was being nosy and I read everybody that like commented on that, and just you being able to touch people when you were just writing that for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I feel like we should do with social media, just showing up, being vulnerable.
For me,
And
when you're doing that, it's like you don't even really know what you're like. Just
Right.
hearing you say it because I didn't reread it. You're kind of like, whoa, I don't like. I remember thinking it and all that, but
My best blogs come like when you just have the feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like it just like when you
In
have
your
the feeling,
feels.
whether whether it's like good or bad, ugly or indifferent, but those posts, regardless of what they are, I at least have one person, and usually it's more like 20 people, either text or inbox or Megan, like, or screenshot it, and that is what, like, it's making an impact and making a difference.
Some random guy on there that commented, "I don't know you, but all the pictures that I saw and before pre-divorce you looked really unhappy." And I was like,
I go back
that
and
was
look
interesting.
Like, it keeps coming up on my timeline, and I look at, like, I'd gained weight, and I felt, I'm like, I look so much younger now that I'm, like, separated.
Because you're happy.
I know. I just was a wreck. I just was a wreck. I
mean,
look back at those pictures, and I'm like, oh my God, I looked terrible. Like,
you never looked terrible.
oh, I
Meg.
did.
I mean, we talked about the Diddy and Cassie thing. Like, look at her pictures now
Yeah.
with her husband versus
Right.
her photos with Diddy.
Right.
Like, total different
So,
person.
shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.
And while you're shooting stuff, go ahead and go and like us on Got Her Back Podcast, or Miss Maria Shelton, Inspired by Carrie, or Meg's Unfiltered. See you next time.
Bye.
Shoot your shot.
Should be called shoot your shot.
But only shoot your shot to you people that are single. All right, done.
That one came